From all indications, there were multiple shooters who fired dozens of shots, perhaps more than 50.
Picture this. It's a regular Wednesday afternoon. You're driving down one of the busiest streets in your neighborhood, maybe running errands, maybe heading home. Your baby is in the back seat. And in the blink of an eye, everything you know, everything you love, everything you are, gets ripped away by 50 bullets in broad daylight. That's exactly what happened to 26-year-old Gabryel Ayers on February 4, 2026, on a street corner in Chicago. And before we go any further, I need you to do something for me. If this story hits you the way it hit me, smash that like button, subscribe to 3 AM Files, and click that bell icon, because step into the hour when the world sleeps and secrets come alive. 3 AM Files uncovers the cold, hidden truths behind real crimes. Step in if you dare. Now let me tell you about Gabryel. She wasn't just another statistic in Chicago's violence problem. She was a 26-year-old hairstylist, a young woman trying to make an honest living doing what she loved. She had dreams, you know, the kind of dreams we all have. Build a career, raise her baby girl, maybe open her own salon someday. She was described by people who knew her as sweet and loving. Community members said she loved her baby more than anything in this world. Her godfather, Kirk Bell, would later stand in front of cameras with tears in his eyes, trying to make sense of what happened. And honestly, how do you make sense of this? It was 1:25 in the afternoon. Not 1:25 in the morning when the streets are empty and dark. 1:25 p.m. The sun was shining. People were everywhere. This was 79th Street in the Auburn Gresham neighborhood, one of the busiest corridors in that part of Chicago. We're talking about a place with businesses, a food pantry, a church just steps away. St. Sabina Parish was literally 1 block from where this went down. Gabryel was sitting in the front passenger seat of a white sedan. Her boyfriend, 27-year-old Devin Draper, was behind the wheel. And in the back seat, properly strapped into her car seat, was Gabryel's baby daughter. Different reports say she was anywhere from under a year old to about 13 or 14 months. Either way, we're talking about an infant. A baby who couldn't even understand what was about to happen. Here's where it gets absolutely chilling. Surveillance footage caught everything. And when I say everything, I mean you can see exactly how calculated, how ruthless, how absolutely heartless this attack was. 3 men, all dressed in black, all wearing masks, came running up to that white sedan. And they didn't just fire a few shots. They unleashed hell. More than 50 bullets. 50. Let that sink in for a second. These weren't warning shots. This wasn't a robbery gone wrong. This was an execution. The video shows these 3 shooters firing into the car while witnesses on the street ducked for cover. You can hear people screaming. You can see the panic. And then, as if 50 bullets wasn't enough, the shooters ran to a red Alfa Romeo, pulled up alongside the already bullet-riddled car, and fired even more rounds into it. Inside that car, Gabryel was hit multiple times throughout her body. Devin Draper was shot twice, once in the arm and once in the buttocks. The car, now out of control, crashed into a nearby GMC van. And here's the part that still gives me chills. That baby in the back seat. Not a single scratch. A witness who recorded video of the aftermath said they saw the baby crying in the back seat, holding a lollipop. Shell casings were found inside the child's car seat. Inside. That's how close those bullets came. That baby should not be alive right now. But somehow, by what can only be described as a miracle, that child survived completely unharmed. Gabryel Ayers was rushed to the hospital in critical condition. She fought, but her injuries were too severe. She died, leaving behind a baby who will never remember her mother's face, never hear her voice, never feel her embrace. Now, you're probably wondering the same thing everyone else is wondering. Why? What could possibly lead to this level of violence? What did Gabryel do to deserve this? And here's the thing that makes this even more tragic. We don't know. As of right now, authorities have said they don't know what led to this attack. The motive is still unclear. No arrests have been made. Those 3 shooters. They got into that red Alfa Romeo and disappeared. The car was later found abandoned and torched, destroying any evidence that might have been inside. This brings up so many questions, doesn't it? Was Gabryel the target? Or was this about Devin Draper? Was this gang-related? A case of mistaken identity? Retaliation for something? The truth is, we just don't know yet. And that's what makes this so frustrating. What we do know is this happened in broad daylight on one of the busiest streets in that neighborhood. There were witnesses. There were people who saw something. Father Michael Flegger from St. Sabina Church, who's been a voice against violence in Chicago for years, stood at the scene and said something that really stuck with me. He said these shooters all had long guns. Not handguns. Long guns. Rifles. In the middle of the day. On a busy street. And nobody stopped them. The community's response has been powerful. On Friday, February 6th, just 2 days after Gabryel was killed, hundreds of people gathered at the corner of 79th and May Streets. Faith leaders, community activists, elected officials, even Mayor Brandon Johnson showed up. The Chicago Police Department's 6th District held their roll call right there at the intersection as a show of solidarity. People who've lost their own children to gun violence stood there with Gabryel's family. Pamela Bosley, co-founder of Purpose Over Pain, a group formed by parents who've lost kids to violence, looked into the cameras and said something I'll never forget. She said, "We need justice for our children. These are our children's lives being shot and killed. If you don't do anything about it, let me tell you, you're going to stand up with us here next. And this is not where you want to be." Illinois State Senator Willie Preston didn't mince words either. He called the shooters exactly what they are: monsters and cowards. He said, "The people that pulled out automatic weapons on this very land that we stand on, ran up in broad daylight and murdered Gabryel, are monsters to me. I cannot call a duck a chicken or a pig a cow, but I can call a coward, and these cowards will be hunted down." Mayor Brandon Johnson addressed the crowd and talked about how this tragedy continues to tear at the soul of Chicago. He acknowledged that tragedies like this remind us how much more work needs to be done. And Father Flegger, standing just a block from his church, asked the question everyone's thinking: when is this going to stop? When is it going to get safe again? Now, both St. Sabina Parish and Cook County Crime Stoppers are offering rewards. $10,000 each. That's $20,000 total for information leading to an arrest. Community activist Jamal Green even stepped up and committed to paying for Gabryel's funeral services. Gabryel's mother is now taking care of the baby. That child who witnessed her mother's murder. Who sat in that car seat surrounded by shell casings. Who, by some miracle, survived when everything around her was chaos and violence.
There's a shooting at a car and you know there's a child in the car. That doesn't make any sense. Yeah, it could be a lot of other people who's lost their life here today. It's unbelievable. This young lady was a beautiful young lady with a beautiful child, and life just cut short. For what?
Ayers.
It's a miracle that baby was not shot. It's a miracle. So they saw, the young man and the woman shot up in the car as they were trying to get the baby out. But they gave the baby immediately to the police, and the policewoman took it in her car and was holding it.
But here's what really haunts me about this case. The sheer brazenness of it. This wasn't some dark alley at 3 a.m. This was the middle of the afternoon on a major street. These shooters didn't care who saw them. They didn't care that a baby was in that car. They didn't care that dozens of witnesses were around. They walked up to that vehicle and unleashed over 50 rounds without hesitation. What does that tell us? It tells us these people felt completely comfortable committing murder in broad daylight. They felt safe doing it. They felt like they could get away with it. And so far they have. Kirk Bell, Gabryel's godfather, asked a question that I keep coming back to. He said, "What's the purpose of shooting at a car when you know there's a child in the car? That doesn't make any sense. It could have been a lot more people who lost their life today." He's right. That baby should be dead. Devin Draper should be dead. The driver of that GMC van they crashed into could have been killed. This could have been so much worse. But even as it stands, a 26-year-old woman who was trying to live her life, who was working as a hairstylist, who loved her baby girl more than anything, is gone. Permanently. Forever. And for what? The surveillance footage is out there. The video has been shared on social media. Authorities are reviewing footage from nearby buildings. Area 2 detectives are investigating. But as of right now, as I'm recording this, nobody has been arrested. Those 3 shooters are still out there. Think about that. 3 people who fired over 50 bullets into a car with a baby inside are walking around free right now. They could be in a store. They could be at a restaurant. They could be anywhere. And they know they got away with it. So what happens now? Where does this case go from here? The Chicago Police Department is asking anyone with information to come forward. You can call Cook County Crime Stoppers at 1-800-535-STOP. You can submit tips online at cpdtip.com. You can contact the Gresham District CAPS office. And remember, your tip can be completely anonymous. They don't need your name. They just need to know what you saw. 'Cause somebody knows something. In broad daylight on a busy street with that many witnesses. Somebody saw these shooters before they put on their masks. Somebody saw where they came from. Somebody knows who they are. Somebody might have heard them bragging about it afterward. 'Cause that's what these people do. They talk. They can't help themselves. This case needs to be solved. Not just for Gabryel. Not just for her family. Not just for that baby who will grow up without a mother. But for everyone in that community who now has to walk down that same street wondering if they're next. For everyone who has to drop their kids off at school wondering if today's the day. For everyone who's tired of going to vigils and funerals and watching their community bleed. So let me ask you something. And I want you to really think about this. What makes someone capable of this? What happens in a person's mind that they can run up to a car in broad daylight, see a baby in the back seat, and still pull the trigger? Not just once, not just a few times, but over and over and over again until they've fired 50 rounds. Is it desperation? Is it rage? Is it complete detachment from humanity? What breaks inside a person that they can do this and then just go about their day? And here's another question that keeps me up at night. That baby survived, yes. But at what cost? She lost her mother. She'll grow up with that loss every single day. Father Flegger said the baby is so young, she probably won't remember that day. But she'll know. She'll always know that her mother was killed. She'll know she was there. She'll carry that with her forever. How do you process that? How do you explain to a child when they're old enough to understand that their mother died protecting them? That their mother's last moments were in terror, knowing she couldn't save herself but desperately hoping her baby would survive? And what about the community? How many more vigils do they have to hold? How many more mothers do they have to bury? How many more times does Father Flegger have to stand at that corner and ask when it's going to stop? If you know something, anything about what happened to Gabryel Ayers, you need to speak up. Because your silence protects murderers. Your silence lets them get away with it. Your silence tells them they can do it again. This is 3 a.m. Files reminding you that the truth might be hidden in the dark, but it always comes to light. The question is, will you help bring it there? Will you be the one who makes the call that brings justice for Gabryel and her baby? Like this video. Subscribe to the channel. Hit that bell icon. Share this story. And if you know anything, make that call. Because Gabryel Ayers deserves justice. And that baby deserves to grow up in a world where her mother's killers are behind bars. Stay vigilant. Stay informed. And remember, in the darkest hours, the truth is waiting to be found.